Today I'm gonna make a real quick video. We're gonna talk about how to diagnostic a bad battery or a bad alternator. So I have this car, this Nissan Pathfinder 2006. So doesn't matter the year, doesn't matter the type of car, as long as it has a battery and alternator, applies to all the cars. I have this right here, this battery right here. We're just gonna test it with the multimeter. We're gonna set it to volts, and we're gonna test. So right now it's giving me 12.4, so that's like 75% charge. So it's not fully charged. The battery, to be fully charged, should be 12.6 to be 100% charged. But right now it's like 75%. So the car should start. So I hook my leads to the battery. So the car is running right now. It's 12.1. It should be 14. It should be between 13.8 or 14.5, 14.6 with the charging system. But right now, as we can see, the alternator is not charging the battery. So the battery itself, it's running the car without the alternator. So that's telling me right there the battery is not receiving it, it's not charging. So another way to find the problem, to see if it's the battery or your alternator, you can take one of the terminals out, and if the car turns off, it means your alternator is not charging the battery. And if the alternator is good, the car should stay on at least for a minute, for 1 minute. And if as soon as I take the terminal off, if the car turns off, it means the alternator is bad. This is in case you don't have a multimeter, how to test for voltage. You can just take the terminal off right there. So you guys see it, the car it turned off. Okay, so I'm gonna do another testing. So basically what I'm doing is bypassing the battery cable with my multimeter. So I'm gonna hook it to the positive side over here, and I'm gonna hook it to the alternator, the negative, and I should be receiving voltage. So right now it's 11.9 volts. Now the battery it's a little low now, so I'm gonna see if the car starts. So it went up just a little bit. It didn't went to 14. It's 12.1. So that means the alternator is bad. So a lot of the times it could be just the battery cable. It could have all corrosion inside. So what you want to do is a lot of times is cut a little piece of the insulated part of the cable. Just cut it enough so you can see if it's corrosive or not. But in this case it's not, because I hooked my lead of the okay, so now that we know that we have to replace the alternator is bad, we're gonna have to remove all these parts over here. We're gonna have to remove the battery, we're gonna have to move the radiator hose, we're gonna set it away to make a space, we're gonna be removing the air cleaner box and the whole assembly right here. We're gonna be removing the engine cover as well, to to have a little bit of access. Once we remove all this, we're gonna go ahead and remove the electric fan over here for the radiator with the cover, this cover right here, and then we'll have more access, and you guys will see it'll be much easier to take the alternator, to take the alternator out of the car and put the new one in. One of the keys for get this job done is we gotta be patient. We need to have patience. If you getting into this kind of work, replace an alternator, it's not very complicated, it's not hard, but it's a lot of the times, especially in this type of cars where there's no access, not even from the top or underneath, then you got to remove all these parts. Do not try to reach your hand out and see if you can reach and take the bolts out, because you're just gonna suffer a lot and you're not gonna accomplish anything. So might as well take your time and adjust. You need to adjust. It's gonna take you some time, and you got to remove a couple components to have access to remove the alternator. So it takes time, and then to be able to remove the radiator cover, we're gonna have to remove also the radiator fan right here. So I'm gonna take this one now, so I can take this piece out, because it's getting stuck over here, and I don't want to force it because I don't want to break anything. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove this as well, just to have more space and have more access to the alternator. Okay, so now it's all clear. So now we have way more access. Now you can actually, guys, see some of the alternator, but now I got a space, to put some sockets, whatever I need to do. I have more space. So that's what you need to do on a Nissan Xterra. I'll say from 2005 and up, Nissan Xterra, Nissan Pathfinder. You have to remove all the accessories here just to have access to the alternator. Have to remove the battery. I think this is the best way, because you have more room, and doing the removal of the alternator, it will become much easier, it will be much faster than try to avoid removing parts. So that's the best way. Anytime you want to remove any part on the engine compartment, it's better to take, to open a space to remove other parts, so you have better access and you can do the job quicker. Okay, now for removing the serpentine belt right here, all you gotta use, here's the tensioner right here. All you gotta do is just use a 3/8 ratchet, hook it up right here, and then go down, and that will come. I already got the bolts out, so it's actually one long bolt that's holding the alternator, 14 millimeters, and this one 12 millimeters, only 2 bolts. So now I got those out of the way. I lift the car just so I can fit under. I put a jack stand. Okay, now after I went underneath the car, I was able to remove the other electrical connections that were attached behind the alternator. Now I took the alternator off from underneath using a pry bar like this. I just wiggle it, and then the alternator fall off. So I haven't disconnected the electrical connection yet because I couldn't reach. So now that it's loose, I'm gonna be able to disconnect the electrical connection, put the new one back. Alright, mission accomplished. I got the alternator out. So to hook this electrical connection, and there's two over here attached to this holding other electrical connections that goes to the engine. I went underneath, lift the car, and use a pry bar to unhook these connections here so they can let the alternator free. That was the reason that I went underneath. But I took the bolts, I took everything else from the top, not from underneath. So here's the old alternator. So we're just gonna put the other one. So here's the other one. It's not a new alternator, it's a used one. They gave me 4 months warranty on the alternator. They tested and said it's good. So we didn't get to use a new alternator this time, so we're gonna replace it for another used alternator. So we'll see how it goes. Okay guys, so I got the alternator in. It's right there, you guys can see it. So the way I did it is from underneath of the car. So you have to lift the car in a jack stand, and then you gotta put your hands through here, one on the other side, and it's you just have to work it in. But okay, I got it in. So I got it in. I got my connections. I didn't show you guys because, you know, there's no room and I'm just by myself holding the camera, so I can't do it. So got it in, got my bolts. So now I gotta put the serpentine belt in. Okay, now that we put everything back, now we're gonna test our alternator. Okay, so I just went and turned it on, and I got my lead my multimeter lead connected to the battery. So now we see it's on, and my voltage, it's 14.5 volts. So now the alternator is working. Alternator is actually working because my voltage, when the alternator is charging and it's in a good working condition, when you turn on the car and put your multimeter, it should be from 13.5 to 14.5. Between that range, your alternator is good.